Hey guys, let's talk about shoes. What shoes are right for you? I'll talk a bit about biomechanics as well, because it's sort of, you have to know that stuff to understand shoes. What shoes, how do you pick what shoes? Like most of you guys are just starting out. I know some of you guys have run for a while, but what's the right shoe? How do you find the right shoe? And I'm gonna say there's lots of shoes. I mean, if you look at the wall, just what we have, yeah, there, hopefully that didn't make you sick. But yeah, lots of shoes. How do you pick? How do you choose? And I'm gonna say it's gotten harder. I wish I had more light in here. But yeah, how do you choose? How do you choose which shoe is right for you? And it's specific, sort of, general, sort of, but you sort of have to understand, first of all, what the shoes do and what you do when you run. I will talk a bit about biomechanics before I hear this recording. But really what happens is, when you run, you're basically jumping from foot to foot, right? It's both feet are in the air every time you take a stride. And when you land on that front foot, you're landing with a little more pressure than you normally would when you're, say, walking. It's sort of like if you ever took a stick and put it against a sidewalk or a stairs and stepped on it to break that stick. That's the amount of pressure you're putting down on that front foot, say about 2 or 3 times your body weight. So the shoe, your foot, first of all, your body, your foot, your entire body has to take that pressure, that stress, right? That pressure down on your feet. So your body's sort of built like that. We're built like the shock absorber in a car. So just think about that. You're absorbing shock every time you take a step, every time you run, every time you do anything, you're absorbing shock. So even walking, you're doing that, but running more than normal. So just think if you just had a straight rod and you landed, right? Something would break. So like us, we absorb, and evolution has built that into us. I'm gonna say we're built to run. Born to run. I'm going to say evolved to run, say maybe. I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, so yeah, that's we're built to run. But there's another thing people don't talk about a lot when we run. It's also we have to find that balance when we land, because we're jumping from foot to foot. And say you don't find that balance. Maybe if you're trying, every time you take a step, you're trying to balance your foot, right? Because not everybody's built perfectly, right? So then you have to make sure, pressure for sure, the stress on that, plus also finding that balance. If you don't have that balance, that's a thing too. And most shoes will address that, but it's changed. Things have changed a lot. So let's figure out, how do we figure out what shoes? First of all, when you walk in a store, what am I going to do? What are you going to do? First of all, when you walk in the store and you're trying on shoes, looking for shoes, come prepared to try on shoes. 2 things. Make sure you wear the socks that you would normally wear. Don't come in and say, I normally wear a thinner sock or thicker sock, because it doesn't help. We do have try-on socks, but come prepared to try on shoes, right? Bring your shoes. Understand we're going to want to watch you walk. If you happen to be one of our stores that has a treadmill, we'll watch you run. Sometimes we'll maybe let you run on the sidewalk outside of the store and watch you run that way, because we want to see what your feet do. Do they collapse inward? Do they collapse outward? What do your knees do? Where are your feet? Are you pigeon-toed or inward? What's going to work for you? Is it really extreme pronation? Is it just a little bit? And we'll talk about pronation in a second. But we want to see that. We want to see your feet. We want to see your ankles. We want to see your knees. So if it's summertime or really warm out, wear a pair of shorts, I'm going to say, for sure. And again, just understand that you're going to be here for don't plan on being here for 5 minutes. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to say right now, don't come in here planning to be for 3 or 4 hours. And just remember, you're going to be probably about 30 minutes, at least, roughly 30 minutes. Any more, maybe not. Any less, you have to try and choose. It takes time. So make sure you have that time. Don't walk in and say, I've got 5 minutes. So take time. And what are we looking for? Why are we having to do that? Walk, run. Some of us will get you to do the squat or knee bend. Don't bend like this. Bend your knees. And we'll do a lunge too. And what we're really looking for first are your feet. When we do the lunge, when we do the knee bend is sort of does the same thing as the running or walking. We just want to see what your knees do, what your feet do. Are you collapsing inward, collapsing outward, or just straight over your feet? It'd be better if you could see my knees when I did that. But when we do the lunge too, the lunge is sort of that, but it's also more balanced, because you have to have a balance to be able to do that, right? 1 foot in front, or lunge backwards if you want, but you have to have that balance. And that's what we're looking for too. What are your feet doing? How comfortable are you when you land on that foot? So we take it from there, then we decide which shoes should you try. Again, it's based on you. Absolutely based on you. We can give suggestions. We'll bring out shoes for you to try, but it comes down to which fits the best, which feels the best. And we'll work with you and suggest why certain shoes are working and certain shoes aren't. So let's start with the people that really pronate inward. When we see you running, what you're doing with your feet is you're landing on the inside of your feet, right? Instead of pushing off your toe, you're actually rolling and pushing off the outside of your foot. Now, think about that for a minute. I think I might talk about this before we start the recording. Pronation, overpronation, extreme overpronation, and underpronation are a bunch of different things. Pronation is pretty normal. I'm going to say right off the bat, if you hear somebody saying pronation is bad, it's not. It's what we do. It's how our feet are designed to absorb the shock and absorb and take care of the balance part. The normal stride, I know a couple of you guys are track or sprinters, right? So you wear track shoes. That's what the track shoes actually have you do, right? You land on outside heel, outside of the shoe, inside of the shoe, push off your toe. It's almost like an upside down S when you're running. A lot of customers will come in, Warren, I wear out my outside of my foot, and because they'll say the heel wears out. That's where most people land. We'll talk a little bit more about the way we should land before this starts, so you'll understand what I'm talking about. But that's the way it works, right? So understand that. If you pronate, not a big deal. The big problem is if you're running and you're always pushing off the inside of your foot. Then you need a shoe to correct that. Now, we used to have shoes called motion control shoes. We still do have one in the store. I think it's still on the wall here somewhere. I'll have to take a quick look. But it was built specifically to prevent you from doing that, period. It would not let you roll in at all. You're basically always pushing off the front of your foot. And things have changed, but I'm going to say what the support was is if you look on the inside of a shoe, like the New Balance 860s, a big honking piece of plastic or rubber or something here to prevent you from doing that. That has changed a little bit, but for people that really need that support, some shoes still have that. I don't see our motion control shoe on here anywhere. Ah, we got one. Give me a second. So the way things have changed, maybe you wanted to take notes, but the way things have changed is no longer are we doing that. No longer are we having a big honking piece of plastic here to prevent you from actually moving properly, right? Now the thought process is more guide rather than force. Because yeah, the goal is to get you to push off your toe. The guide is to get you to do that. The goal is not to have you roll in on the push off the inside of your feet. So what Brooks, I think Brooks is one of the first shoes that did that. They call what they do guide rails. So it's built for two things. One, to prevent people from rolling outward or underpronating or supinating. I like underpronating because nobody actually knows what supinating means. So underpronating rather. But also on the inside to prevent you from rolling too far inward. So you're still gonna over toe, but you're not forced to just do heel to toe. So that's a cool thing. That's a really important thing to remember. So Brooks has done that, other shoes have done it, but if you really need a lot of support, there's other shoes we can go to. But again, Brooks is, the way this is working, it does what it's supposed to do. Because the thing is with the big honking piece of plastic sometimes, is that you have to think about not just the feet, what are the feet doing, but what are the knees doing as well? Are the knees collapsing in? Are the knees allowing themselves to do what they're supposed to do on the rest of your body, right? So if you have a shoe that just forces you, it's also going to force your knees. Thus, lots of runners had knee issues pretty much all their lives, right? Well, so the shoe things have changed. So, motion control. We have stability shoes. Stability shoes, again, have changed. It, again, used to be all about the support on the inside. More and more shoes, some shoes still have that. Some have it, but it's not as extreme as a motion control used to be. We used to call these things bricks because they weighed so much, because they had so much material in them. Now, shoes are really light. There's really no such thing as a really heavy shoe. You'll notice on our shoe wall, we actually show the weight on shoes. It's minimal. There's not a whole lot of difference between shoes. Some you'll notice right away, but after you run in them for a while, not a big deal. And also the size of the shoe has nothing to do with the weight of the shoe. So, stability shoes. Again, the way we show them on our walls are with blue tags on them. But again, are they really stability shoes still? Because like I said, with the Brooks Beast, with the guide rails, maybe we got to come up with a different term. Some are still like 860s, like New Balance, they still have the honking piece of plastic. I wouldn't be surprised if they changed that. But other shoes have started to do that too. There's a bunch of new brands. One called On, O-N. If you look at these things, O-N, that's supposed to be an O. It's supposed to be a light switch with the O. Anyhow, so this is their stability shoe. Neat thing about Ons is these things, the pods underneath. Really neat feeling shoe. I'm going to say probably the most, maybe I'll say it, most natural shoe I've ever worn. It just feels just perfectly. It's just, the stride is always good. It's you don't think about your shoes anymore. It's a lot of times you'll try on a shoe and you'll feel it and notice it when you're running. This I never have. It's like it's there. I know it's there. I know I'm running in a pair of shoes, but it's not even the lightness. It's just the natural stride. The pods underneath, what they do is they collapse when you land on your foot. So when you land with that pressure on, they collapse. So it's like they're landing on a cloud. That's why they're called on clouds. And hard surface to push off. And they can do so many things with these pods, which is probably the most magical thing about these shoes. So what they've done with this shoe, it's their version of a stability shoe, more of a guiding shoe, not stability. And what they've done is harden and soften the pods so it actually guides your foot. So you're doing the outside, inside toe. It's not, no big pieces of plastic. It's just like magic. So yeah, so it's a neat shoe and a neat version, but that's what the stability shoes are doing now. These things are doing it. ASICS hasn't made the move yet, I don't think. Some of their shoes are starting to do that. So they're making the move. Ons are doing that. There's another newer brand called, that's like I'm singing here. Called Hoka. Actually, Hoka Ani. And no, they weren't made in Hawaii or Australia. I just call them Hoka because nobody says Ani. And it's just actually Hoka on if you're from somewhere else. Anyhow, so these look like they'd be heavy, right? They're not. They're light as a feather. Even some of theirs are even lighter than that. So Hoka, again, does the same thing. Guide rather than force. They call it a J-plate underneath. And it just guides your feet, right? Doesn't force anything. And you think about these and Ons developed by runners, ultramarathoners. These guys, Hoka from the French Alps, Ons from the Swiss Alps. If you watch the Olympics, Summer Olympics from Tokyo and saw the Swiss team, they were all wearing Ons. I don't know if the French athletes were wearing Hokas or not. But anyhow, they're great. These guys have designed this shoe for a specific reason, specific light bulb moment. They wanted the shoe to feel like a perpetual motion machine. You want to keep moving because running is not a perpetual activity, right? You're going to hear this a lot when we talk about biomechanics. There's this thing about promoting landing midfoot strike, right? And it's, I guess, been for years, and it's sort of still around. But you have to land midfoot because if you don't, you're stopping. Well, if your foot lands on the ground, you're stopping anyway. There's always friction. Doesn't matter. Really. And again, if I watch runners, and it's interesting to see people that swear they're heel strikers are actually midfoot strikers. People that are midfoot strikers are actually think they're midfoot, they're actually heel strikers. And I'm going to say 50% of runners are heel strikers naturally. It's just the way it is, but it doesn't really matter. The trick is to make you feel like you're moving continuously. So what Hoka says, yeah, a series of stops and starts, but they want that start to be really quickly. They don't want to feel like a stop. They don't want to really put impact on your calves, on your entire body. So they've got a thing, most older shoes have a thing called a midfoot rocker. And again, it rocks your feet back and forth. A lot of people put them on first and think they're falling backwards. They're actually not. It's designed to push you forward. So you feel like you're running down a mountain, sort of like on a mountain bike going down a mountain. You're just moving. So sort of neat technology that is brand new. So actually a great thing to think about. And again, probably one of my favorite shoes as well. Very light. I call it the best shoe for middle-aged guys that get hurt a lot. Because I've had that. I have people come in with bad knees and whatever. As soon as they put the shoe on, it's a shoe. So again, it's not the best shoe for everybody because I'm going to get asked that too. Which is the best shoe? Which is the best selling shoe? Don't care. I don't care what your friend wears. I don't care what you've seen on TV. I don't care what you've read in Runner's World or any other magazine about shoes. It's got to be based on you. Just because your friend says, oh, this Hoka is the best shoe in the world, maybe not. You have to try them on. Most places, most stores will let you take these shoes home and run in them inside for 30 days. We do. 30 minutes, 30 days. Try them out, take them home, take them to a treadmill, take them to an indoor track, go for a run with them and see how they feel. 30 days, is it going to take you 30 days? Probably just take you one run, but that's the trick. So again, I'll bring out at least 3 pairs of shoes for you to try. 3 different brands, 3 different types of shoes, and we go from there. It's just your reaction tells me which way we're going. And frankly, you shouldn't go over more than 3 or 5 shoes, period. Beyond that number, even after 3 shoes, you've forgotten what the first shoe feels like. You've sort of lost your focus, and you're going to start pointing at shoes. Can I try that shoe? Can I try that shoe? Why not that shoe? And don't do that. Don't get flustered. If you're in the store, you're trying on shoes, you get to like 5 shoes, and you're not sure. One thing, If you want to leave and come back the next day and try again, not a problem. Do that. Do not feel like you're forced into buying a shoe. Feel flustered or not sure, doesn't matter. The other thing you can do, pick the best shoe out of the ones you tried, take them home, try them. They may just turn out to be the right shoe. Also, if you put a shoe on and you just say, wow, this feels great, that's probably the shoe. So again, it's not rocket science, it's just try and see what fits the best and feels the best, and that's all it is. Also, 30 days for us, Brooks, they're the only shoe that does this, but you're allowed to take them home for 90 days, and indoors or outdoors. So there's a little secret there, Brooks. And again, do you need 90 days to find out whether a shoe works or not? Probably not. But they stand behind their product, just saying. So Hoka. Now, so that's stability shoes. Again, it could you could get, if you need the support, it's there, but guiding is the way to go. Now, there's and the other neat thing about those shoes is we've never had a shoe for people that underpronate, right? I missed saying that. There's overpronating, but there's also underpronating where they'd never actually make the transition. This shoe fixes that. It guides your foot. We've never had that until Brooks started doing this. And it's just amazing because we used to tell people that underpronated, go for a neutral shoe. It will just work with your feet and it'll be fine. I think we maybe have been lying, but we never had a lot of shoes returned. So I'm going to say maybe it worked. But again, going for a neutral shoe. Neutral shoe, neutral cushion shoe. They all have cushions in them, so the cushion shoe doesn't work. But neutral shoe just means it just does whatever your feet want to do. You're not pronating, you're not over-pronating. You're, I'm going to say, a normal runner, which I don't think there's such a thing, but yeah. The whole idea of people, a lot of people think running is heel to toe. Like I said, it's not. It's not. And if you're a track runner, if you're a sprinter, you already know that. This is called this is the Hoka Mach 5. It's like you're paying for air. There's nothing in here, but the cushioning is amazing. Again, a lot of shoes are trying to copy Hoka for cushioning. Nobody else has got it yet. But so neutral shoe, these you just try on, see how they feel. And what's going to happen if you put on a neutral shoe? We'll watch you walk in them, and if we see you really overpronating in them and not making that transition, we'll say that. Maybe you should try a stability shoe that's not really a stability shoe, but a guiding shoe. Maybe we should call them guiding shoes instead of stability shoes, just saying. But yeah, we'll watch that. And there's so many choices, and just pick something, right? We'll suggest, we'll watch you, we'll talk to you, we'll ask you what you're doing, whether you're starting out, whether you've been running forever, what you've worn before, what's worked before, and we'll go from there. And we'll ask about injuries as well. Because the other thing is, if you come in a store and something's not feeling right, if you've got, okay, we'll talk about this with our physiotherapist, but plantar fasciitis, shin splints, whatever, sore knees. If you've got that to start with, no matter what shoe you try in the store, that injury's still going to be there. So it's not going to fix it like that. It will help prevent the injuries, but it's not going to cure anything. And also, if you do have an injury of some sort, we'll give you suggestions. We'll suggest you see a physiotherapist, a medical professional, because we're not medical professionals. There's one girl that works here, one lady who works here is taking kinesiology. She might be able to help you, but again, that's not our job. We're here to sell you shoes. If you have an injury, see somebody, see a professional. And I'm going to say that for the next 9 weeks, just saying. So yeah, so neutral shoes, try them. If they work, they work. And again, which feels the best? Now, this time of year, it's dangerous, right, for some of us. I think Winnipeg's got really nice weather and no snow or ice. But I ran this morning at 5:30, which is like really crazy because now I feel like going to sleep. But winter shoes for winter. I want to keep this around 30 minutes, so I'll do this. I'll talk really quick. Anyway, winter shoes, a good starting place. I found out this morning, just a winter shoe may not be the perfect thing to do. But the idea of winter shoes, also winter shoes versus track shoes. Track shoes are for trail shoes versus winter shoes. Trail shoes are built for trails. I'm going to say they might work on snow, but they're not built for that. Yeah, it doesn't really whatever works, right? But winter shoes, go for winter specifics. A lot of brands will actually have that. They'll have a winter shoe, they'll have a trail shoe. Some will have different shoes for different types of trails, like for trails that are wet and a lot of water, dry and just trails. Some with sand, right? It's different type of shoes. I know Saucony does that. They have like 5 different types of winter shoes and trail shoes. So anyway, trail shoes, the idea is this thing at the bottom. Yeah, again, Wave Rider. A little more traction on the bottom. I think the Saucony is even better if I can find it really quickly. Let's go with the Olympus. Aha, Ultras. Another fairly new shoe to us. Again, that grip, that's designed, it's a little bit sticky, right? It's sticky to grab onto the snow and a little bit of ice, so you don't fall. That's the trick. You don't want to fall. Don't fall. It's like that commercial. If you fall going downstairs, well, don't fall. So don't fall. So this helps with that. Again, it's gonna be like a winter tire, or yeah, like a winter tire where it's gonna sort of maybe not grip right away. A lot of times the idea is when you run in winter, make sure you take shorter steps and land right on that traction. And we'll talk about this before we start this video about where you should land when you run. Anyway, so you want that traction. The other thing is most of these shoes have something called Gore-Tex, which is really cool because it keeps your feet nice and warm and toasty. So we'll talk about socks in a minute, but again, try these shoes on with the socks you're going to wear. If you're gonna say winter and you're gonna throw on a thicker sock, guess what? That shoe's not gonna fit anymore. So yeah, bring your socks and make sure, if you have to bring 2 pairs of socks, what the heck. But yeah, so winter shoes, Gore-Tex, grip. Some have more grip than others. Say if you live in Vancouver and you're just worried about slippery seawall, or Victoria maybe, it's gotta fit. Go for something like the Ghost, Brooks. Again, it's got the support. This is just a neutral shoe. But anyway, it's got a little bit less grip. It's sticky, but it'll be fine on slippery conditions, slippery with leaves. Yeah, on the seawall in Vancouver would be perfect. And again, the Gore-Tex as well. Other thing I'm gonna say about running in winter too, guys, it's also like trails. Trails, if you're running on trails, don't worry about the stability and support and stuff. Trails are different than running on asphalt or concrete. If you're running on asphalt or concrete or really hard dirt, stability is kind of an important thing. If you're running off-road, if you're running on trails, neutral shoe. I don't think a lot of the trail shoes have any stability in them. I think the only one we have is from Asics, which is the 2000. I don't have it in the Wally even, but it's got a little support in it. But once you're on trails, it's a different story. Once you're on ice and snow, different story, stick to neutral. Anyhow, so winter shoes versus track shoes. But I'm gonna say if you're running out in conditions like I did this morning, because I had my Peregrines, they're on the wall here. My Peregrine Ice, which I love. They're my favorite feeling shoe, but I think we've sold so many we don't even have them on the wall. Come on, Warren, I put these on the wall, I should know where they are. There it is. That's actually that is this one. Again, lots of grip, sticky, and Gore-Tex-like material to keep your feet warm. So again, you don't really have to worry about thicker socks when you have this, right? Because you're already gonna be warm. But let's say it's Edmonton last winter, when we had lots and lots of ice, freezing rain, the snow would melt, the next morning it would freeze, so you're always slipping. Those winter shoes are not gonna do the trick. They're built for a little bit of snow and ice, but not much. They're almost like an all-season tire. All-season tires are sort of good for things, but not really. Something like this. I'm gonna say traction aids. So most people remember these things. Sort of like the galoshes your dad used to wear. These are a little bit different, but they have the pins and they will grip the ice. So I love this. I wore mine all winter long last year because last year was awful. And these are kind of neat. They're built to fit better than the galoshes were. Velcro. So if you're not quite a large, maybe just between a large and medium, this you can make fit. So that's a good option. My favorite last year were these things. They're called Yaktrax. I used to tell people not to try these because I heard bad things about them, but I tried mine on first thing last winter, probably in December, and had them on my shoes right until the end of February. And the grips, there you go, that's the grips. And for some reason the springs as well work just great with the ice. And I'd never fell, I never slipped. Yeah, they were good and they gripped right away. The trick again is to land right on your foot. You want to grip and you want to feel that pin go into that ice. So these are great. And what I like about these two is the way they're secured to your feet, to your shoes. They do not fall off, which is great. I don't know if you remember, we don't even sell the old galosh type things where you had to really pull them on and they had to fit perfectly. And if they didn't, they'd fall off when you were running. I had a pair last year that I used for like one run. I lost one of them during the run. Couldn't figure one foot was slipping. Well, that's why. So yeah, perfect idea. There's other brands, other versions. There's these things which are a little more hardcore. If you're really going off-road into deep ice and snow, maybe. I'm gonna say this is for people that are really hardcore trail runners. But the other ones, like the Yaktrax, the Nordic Grip are fine. There's others, Corkers have another one. These fit more secure. I never got a lot of feedback on these because I don't know if a lot of people bought them, but they have sort of like I don't even want to, boa. It's called a boa. It just tightens up the shoe a bit to fit a bit better. It's whatever works the best for you. Again, when you want to buy these things, come in and talk to us. And I'll talk really quickly about socks. I'm not going to do clothing today because we don't have a lot of time. I'll do clothing next week. Just say wear clothing, and gloves and toques and mitts. But and like I said last week, what you want is to dress for 10 degrees warmer than it actually is. So if it's minus 30, dress for minus 20. I don't know if there's a big difference between those two, but that's the trick. When you're going out for your run, if you're in your house and you're dressed up, ready to go, and you're sweating, you're dressed probably a little too warm. And if you walk outside and it's minus 30 and you don't feel the cold to start with, again, you're dressed too warm. You want to feel that little bit of a chill just right at the start. So socks. I hope this doesn't go too long. Anyhow, socks. The trick with socks is, first of all, never ever wear cotton. Cotton is rotten. Don't wear cotton, period. I know some people can't wear anything else but cotton, but I'm going to say cotton is what cotton does is just absorb the sweat, and it just gives you a feeling like you're running in a wet tea towel wrapped around your socks or feet. So anything that actually wicks the sweat off, the sweat evaporates, and your feet stay dry. So my favorite right now are Stance and Features. I like Features. Again, there's a little bit of compression with these socks. They actually stay on your feet. You don't feel like the sock's rolling up in your shoe. And do you need a thicker winter sock? I mean, we do have them. We've got our new Eco brand sort of socks, which are kind of neat. I think we're going whole hog into these, and we're actually getting out the socks we used to have. They're double layered, so they're not going to cause blisters. The idea with double layer is there's no friction on your feet. You sort of the two layers prevent that. And these are made out of recycled water bottles, which is kind of cool. But a little bit thicker, not super thick, so I don't think they're going to make much of a difference. If you wear double layer to start with, not a big deal. But again, don't go to really, really thick socks, because that's probably not what you tried your shoes on to start with. Stance are really cool too. I'm just going to Stance are fun. They've actually got different models, different styles. These, if you remember Forrest Gump, they have one called the Forrest Gump. Again, they do the compression thing, which is really nice. They're not compression socks, they just stay on your feet better. Our standard double layer running room, again, not bad. They're built, these were the originals, to wick, not cause blisters. But I think what's happening now is we're going from these to the recycled bottles for most of our socks. I think these are on their way out, just saying. Time moves on. So yeah, so socks, shoes, and again, socks, it's again a matter of personal preference. Most of our stores will have try-on socks, and we'll have the brands that we have on the wall, so you can try them on with you try your shoes. And what feels better than a pair of socks or a brand new shoe? As brand new socks. So always go for new socks, I say. And yeah, buy a pair of shoes, buy a pair of socks. And if you're female, as most of you are, what should you also buy when you buy a new pair of shoes? Because you're going to replace your shoes probably every, say, 400 kilometers. Buy a new sports bra. Just saying, because these things don't last forever either, right? Sports bra should never celebrate a birthday. You should always have 3 of them, one on, one in the wash, and one ready to go. We'll talk bras later in this whole thing. But yeah, that's my bra talk. If you want, I do have an hour bra talk that I could do. So socks, shoes. Real quickly, I'm going to talk about safety. Again, you want to be seen, and you want to be able to see. I think being seen is more important than having to see, because most areas you're going to run probably going to have streetlights. But saying that, have something on your head, or otherwise, we started getting stuff where the light is on your mid body or tummy, I guess. Again, so you can see the ground when you're running, because who knows what the ground's going to look like. But also reflect, these light up, so people can see you, because that's probably more important. You can probably see, but you want to be seen, because who knows what's going to be coming at you, right? You're crossing a road. Will the cars be able to see you, right? If you're running and there's somebody running towards you, will they be able to see you? If there's somebody on a bike coming towards you, will they be able to see you? So you want to be seen as well as being able to see. I love these. Do we even have them? I think we probably sold out of them. It's called snap bands. You just put it around your arm, and of course, yeah, we do. Nathan, these things. And all they do is just, you can put them around your arm, put them around your thigh, wherever, and they'll just stay on. And people have headlights on, or headlamps, they'll actually see that reflection. There's others that light up, which are fine, these things, firelights, so you can be seen. And that's, I mean, if any of you guys bike, you know, that's probably the most important thing too about biking, is if you're on the road, you want other people to see you. Even during the daylight, you want something. Headlamps, there's lots of choices for headlamps. These are fine. Nathan, again, you just put them on your head. You want them to sort of be able to aim and throw the ground so you can actually see the ground as well, because who wants to see just ahead of you? So yeah, important too. So you want to be seen, able to be seen. You want good traction. You want the right shoe. And again, make sure you have lots of time to try on shoes. The other thing quickly, how long should a shoe last? Because I'm going to get asked that. I'm going to say it depends on the person. A lot of shoes will say ballpark 800 kilometers. And that's generic, right? Who cares? 800 kilometers, what does that mean? If you're a 90-pound ballerina running, say, 3 times a week, maybe 10K every time you run, and you're running on feathers, and then you take somebody that plays for the Buffalo Bills football team, the front 4 defensive backs, right? And they weigh 400 pounds, and they run the same type of distances and amount of time, but they're running on concrete and asphalt all the time. Which shoe is going to last longer? It's not going to be the same for each, right? So it depends on you. And I always tell people to do this, is when you get a brand new shoe, mark down the date you bought that shoe. Mark down that date. And then after that, every time you run, after a run, keep track of your mileage, or maybe just, keep track of your mileage, or just the amount you run, and keep doing that every week after week. Keep a journal, which is kind of cool, or important. And when that shoe does not feel right, like it doesn't feel like what it's supposed to do, or what it felt like when you first got it, maybe you're feeling your knees hurt a little bit. For me, it's my lower back. Once I feel that, it's time for a new shoe. It's time to, maybe the wrong shoe, but probably time for a new shoe. And I mark down that date, or better yet, I mark down that mileage. What are you doing? Okay, I'm gonna hide. Our delivery guy just showed up, and I don't think he understands that we're closed. Anyway, so let's do this back here. Anyhow, okay, I'm hiding in the shoe room. So yeah, lots of shoes. Anyhow, so how long is those shoes gonna last? So you feel something hurt, doesn't feel right, then what you do is you mark that date down, or you mark down that mileage too. And whenever you get to that point, close to that point, start buying a new pair of shoes. So you buy before you get to that point. You want your shoes to overlap. You want the older shoes you don't want to get hurt. So you don't want that running worn out shoes. So overlap like maybe a week or 2. And yeah, make sure you keep track of that. And because I've seen so many people who haven't done that. They try to push older shoes and try to use older shoes for longer times, and they get injured. We used to have a guy that was sponsored by the running room, and he was, cheap. And he's allowed, I think, 4 pairs of shoes a year. Well, he would try to push those shoes too hard, and guess what? Now he's not even running anymore. So proper shoes are important. Anyhow, I'm gonna let you guys go and come back to talk to me live. Bring lots of questions, and yeah, we'll talk about clothing, I think, next week. But that's a lot about shoes. That's like over 30 minutes. So we'll talk to you in a second.